I'm going to show you how to paint a portrait using an airbrush. In advance, sorry for the background noise. There are a few cars and kids and all that, so sorry about that. Right, so you got two schools of thought. One, you can paint the whole thing just with an airbrush, and two, you can use emulsion beforehand. So this only works obviously if you're doing it on the wall or a canvas or something. If you're painting on the car or onto like a van or something, you'll want to use just an airbrush or maybe a spray gun with the same paint. But obviously you couldn't use emulsion onto a car because it wouldn't last. So in this case, you can either go around the pencil lines and then just be quite careful where you're painting, or you can dilute your paint and paint everything regardless. And as you're going to see, as long as your paint is diluted enough, you can see the pencil lines. As you can see on the nose there, we can still see the line coming through. So I've swapped to a bigger brush, and then now I'm going to cover the whole thing. Again, make sure it's diluted enough, otherwise you're going to cover everything. It does cover a lot, but then as it dries, you can see it better as you can see there. So don't be alarmed if everything gets covered a bit more than you want. As long as it's diluted, it'll come through afterwards. Talking about coming through, you may have seen some text. Sometimes when you write, especially when you're using a spray can, things will come through again and again, so that's something to keep in mind. On the wall, I wrote that the Mural art course was coming soon, and then you can see the coming soon a few times on the wall. But as it dries, that disappears. But as you're painting, it's there. With an airbrush, it's not a wet technique. You can see all the text there. It's not a wet technique, so I could do all of this just with the airbrush and it would never come through. But as I'm using emulsion, and especially quite diluted, you can see the coming soon kind of thing. But like I said, it's going to go away. What I want to do now is just nice and simple, use a brown and then cover all the lines, all the pencil lines with the brown. So then I can see a bit better what I'm doing. And it all works into having some type of markers. So I like when I'm painting, I like to see that I'm progressing. And more importantly, I want to see that I'm progressing evenly. A bit like the spray painting portrait. I don't know if you've seen that one yet. It's either above or below this video. I like to add a bit of color everywhere just to see that I'm progressing. It's also a lot faster if I'm doing all the brown. Obviously, I'm going to use the brown after I've used some white and beige and whatever, but as much as I can, I'd like to use one color everywhere and then use another color everywhere. So instead of picking the brown to do one eye, then I'm switching to beige for the nose and then I'm brown to another eye and so on. It just takes too long. So it's best to just use the hair. The hair is going to be gray, but as you see, I'm using brown because it doesn't matter. I just want to trace things and I just want to get the feeling that I'm progressing. As you're doing that, you're actually painting a lot quicker. So it's important to, first of all, take steps back. As you can see on the screen, I'm moving back and forth. That's just to get like an idea of what I'm doing. You can also trace mindlessly, that's fine. But I just find you don't go as quick. Now I'm going to use a tone that's a little bit lighter. And I want to show you something. So as you can see, this is like a hazelnut color. But when I put it close to a dark brown, it looks very light. So this is the same color. And as you can see, it looks like a much lighter color. So when you're picking your colors, know that when you go close to a dark color, you always have to go a bit darker than you actually want. Because it's the trick of the eye, really. You think the color is lighter, but it's actually a bit darker. It doesn't matter if you get it wrong. Obviously, you can go over. Unless you're painting on paper or t-shirts or whatever, any porous surfaces, then you have to get it spot on straight away. That's a technique. You'll see me doing this. I block the front of the airbrush, and then I pull the trigger to have the bubbles of air going back into the airbrush. And then that mixes the paint. You can mix it in the cup separately, but it's just faff and it's longer. So as you can see there, I'll just add a bit of white and then I'll block the front a little bit. You sort of want to block it, but leave a little bit of air to go through. And then as you can see, I go back and forth. I use my finger because I don't really care. It's fine. But if you prefer to use a Q-tip or toothpick or whatever, that's up to you. So now that the brown is applied, I'm going to add the light. So people always ask me if I go light then dark or dark then light. It doesn't matter. You go back and forth. You pick one and then you do the other. I tend to go either with a medium shade or a dark shade, then go lighter. But sometimes I'll just do the opposite. It depends. It's up to you. But yeah, I guess if I was to pinpoint it, I guess I would say dark first, dark or medium, then light. Excuse me. Here what I'm doing, so all the colors that you see here that appears to be white is not white. Like the spray can video, I'm waiting until the absolute last minute, I think the last 5 minutes to put the white, and that's the only way you can have something really sticking out. It's fine to put black around the brown and stuff, like for the eyebrows, no problem, but when it comes to white, just wait until the last minute. And then I'm just doing the same as what I did with the brown. I'm just tracing, I'm just adding more shades so I can see a bit of volume, and it helps me to see what I'm doing. I sort of went off script a bit with his hair, because it looks like a sweet man, but I kind of wanted him to have a bit of style. So in the hair, I added a bit more. This is a technique to add texture. You can just remove the cap and be very careful not to bend the needle. I'll show you in a little bit how to get thinner lines. Basically, if you remove the front cap of your airbrush, it'll allow you to have much finer lines. Like this, basically. So as you can see, I'm really close there, and I'm being very careful not to touch the wall, because the paint is quite soft, but still I can easily damage the needle. This is a 0.5 needle and a 0.5 nozzle. This airbrush comes with a 0.35, which is a bit thinner, but you can easily swap for a 0.5 needle and nozzle like I did there. I just find the needle is just a little bit thicker and more robust. But honestly, for my work at least, I don't see the difference between 0.35 or 0.5. If you're doing like tiny models, then you can use a 0.1 and then you'll see the difference. But for what I do, not so much. And I just find it's easier to clean as well. Like a 0.5, it's much more forgiving because it's a little bit bigger. The paint doesn't dry as much. It's not as obtrusive, so it works out pretty well. And then it's just a matter of applying darker shades and lighter shades. In this case, I'm adding a bit of black. And what I've done is I put black with brown. So it's not fully black. It could have been, but it's just, again, trying to work as much as I can with without the black and without the white. Though I think there I switched to a black. Like I said, black doesn't really matter. It's just white you want to wait until the very last minute, because you can't go lighter than white. So that's why you keep it to the last minute. And there I was just having a bit of fun in the hair and just making it look like it's really smooth and stuff. Obviously, like, you can just do it like the picture. But if you've seen my work on the website or on Instagram or whatever, you would have seen that I've changed this picture to correlate with my style, with the drips and all that, which is something that I like to do. Obviously, if you're an artist who's definitely, if you're beginning, it's good to copy the picture as it is. And as you looking for your style, we all have a style. So until then, you can copy the picture as it is. There you can see the red that I'm going to use for the lips and the cheeks. If I press fully, it's very dark burgundy. But if I press slightly, it's a very light pink. With an airbrush, you always want to have a color that's way darker than you actually want to use, because unlike an airbrush, unlike a spray can where you do use the transparency, an airbrush is very transparent. Even if you have opaque colors, the fact that you're pulling back on the trigger just a little bit, it allows you, as you can see there, I'm applying the pink or the very dark red, but it looks like a light pink. You're pulling back on the paint so little that it allows you to have to give you such a range of colors. It's just really nice. I mean, if I was to go lighter, like a lighter shade and press fully, that's fine, but then I don't have as much control. So it's best to apply. Painting with an airbrush is kind of like painting with spray cans that are transparent, like a transparent black, transparent beige, whatever. It's a lot more a transparent technique than spray cans. Spray cans are a lot more opaque. And there I'm just basically going back and forth between the light shades and the dark shades. The one thing you don't want to do when you airbrushing is to make it too smooth. So this is just quick technique. I went to Sainsbury's, got a wooden fork, and I'm just making it a bit sharper. And I'm gonna texture. So there I've mixed like a medium brown, and I'm just tapping on the piece just to add some texture to his skin. You can do that with an airbrush, of course, but it'll take a lot longer. And there I tap it, and then I use my hand as a stamp to multiply those dots and to soften them a little bit. And then so it's a bit dark, but then I'll soften the whole thing as I carry on airbrushing. And as you can see there, I'm just applying the paint in transparency over the texture, and it's going to look nice and realistic. Same as when you're using a spray can. This is the difference between photorealistic work and really good work or cartoony work. It's just the amount of extra detail you're adding. If you think your work is a bit cartoony, then that's fine, you've done well. Just keep adding detail to it until it looks even better. There I'm adding 3 shades. So I've got a black, I've got a dark grey, a light grey, and then I'm putting the white. Well, actually, this is this was white. This was white, because it was at the end of the hair. I just thought, I could go straight with the white. It doesn't matter. And there I'm adding. This is off-white. It's not exactly white. Again, you really want to wait until the last minute before you put the white, so everything can ping a bit better. So this is just slightly diluted white. And then after that, then I'm adding some undiluted white. That's when I put the undiluted white, and I'm just making everything ping even more, like the eyebrows, hair, and certain bits. There was something in the nose that I didn't like. There was a part that was too, it looked a bit too dark on the tip of his nose, so I worked on this. I'm not sure if I showed it in the video. And one thing that's important, especially with airbrushing, with spray cans, yes, but not as much, is to go over the blacks at the end, because as you're painting and as you overspraying the colors, see, this is gone like maroon now and not black. So to really create the shadows and the bits of the face that really dip in, like the holes of the nose and so on, you want to go back at the end with some black, just to make the blacks more blacks. Because during your painting, it's got softer. As you can see there, it looks black, but as I'm putting the black there, it looks darker, and it creates depth a bit more. And I'm doing the same there with the eyebrows. You kind of want to do this at the end. As this is an older gentleman, you want the wrinkles to be a bit more jagged. And this is it. That's the finished article. So give that a try with your airbrush. Whether stick to the picture or do your own style, and see how you go.